This is why this health care bill is so big. I go to all these these groups where, and I love to just walk up to the people in opposition and to be able to chat with them and find out what they're thinking. And it's amazing to find out what they think. And it's very, very clear to me that they work off of the heart. There's nothing really wrong. I mean, that's great if you're, if you have the heart things like that. But that's not how they function, and you guys all know that. That's all they want the government to do it. They don't want to have to get involved in that. And so when I talk to these people about the health care, they say, oh, we should have health care for everybody. God, that'd be great. I mean, wouldn't it be great? Yeah. I mean, it would be great. But you know what's really great, though? I want to be in a position.
Just tell me who's going to pay for it. That's
I want to line everybody's pocket in here with $1 million. Isn't that awesome? And if I'm a legislator, no. I think that would be great too, though, right? But some things just don't make any sense.
They're not in reality.
And so what we're doing is we're living in this sort of fantasy land where the heartstrings run everything, and common sense is just...
Common sense isn't so common.
It isn't anymore. And so until we get the idea that, the idea of legalized plunder, the idea of robbing from someone's liberty, their ability to be able to work as much as they want, to work as little as they want, as long as they live within their own means, that stuff is all gone. Well, I want this from somebody else. And that just, that just violates the whole American thing. And so the reason why the health care bill for me doesn't work on a multitude of levels is, number one, it changed to me up front, the first two I can think of, is it changes our vertical government that we're guaranteed in our Constitution. We're all guaranteed to a public form of government, and it changes it. And the other thing is it takes money from you people that work hard, and it gives it to people that don't.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to the issue. Welfare is one, but it also kind of overlaps into the public education in the sense that my daughter went to, well, I shouldn't say public, she went to Apollo College. She tried to get loans because she couldn't work while she did it, because it's so intense. A friend of hers, who is an unwed mother, was able to get loans because she had a baby.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But yet my daughter, who was responsible, that didn't have a baby out of wedlock, could not get any loans or support. So it's like, how do you deal with things like this that's going on?
Well, I look at the Constitution. The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence are pretty clear where it says that all men are created equal. And understanding that, the government is instituted, among men and things like that to be able to ensure that everybody has the same ability to be able to obtain the same things. It doesn't mean that everybody's entitled to get the same thing. And I guess what I'm saying, what kind of stepping around that, is the idea that we've become accustomed to giving people, special interest groups, special things. It's the Mexicans. It's the pregnant women. It's the, I don't know, name it. It's the black people. It's the, I'm waiting for like the blonde 46-year-old blue-eyed people and the Vietnamese people. And I think we're forgetting about the Hmong people from Laos that actually helped us in Vietnam. I think they haven't asked for anything. I think we should probably give them something. I guess what I'm getting at is that I think we've stretched and sort of contorted the Constitution where now we just feel like we can just give things to certain people without offering the same things to everybody. And I think to me, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but the idea that I get from reading history and reading Constitution and Founding Father quotes and things like that was that the Constitution was to be able to be used for everyone. The same way, the same documentation applies to everyone. It doesn't mean that we give somebody that's got 5 pregnant kids more money than we give somebody that's got one kid.
We're rewarding those who are not responsible.
Right. That's right.
It's been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
That's right. And how's that going to be?
And it bugs the crap out of me.
I wish I could tell you how I felt about that. Yeah.
But most of that money that comes from those programs comes from the federal government, doesn't it?
Sure. I mean, you know, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I'm not an economist, and as you can probably tell, there's some things I know about. It's the fire that I have that shoots out of my eyes and the smoke that's coming out of my ears that puts me in front of you today. So if you want somebody that can stand solid principles, I'm your guy. You know, I can learn to this. You guys will give me the opportunity to be able to do that. And if you want me to hear the issues and tell me what you think, I'm good.
You probably know the answer, but how do you feel about a balanced budget?
Would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You mean a real balanced budget, or like the one we did this last session?
No, a real balanced budget. If you don't have the money, you can't spend it.
I think it's great. Well, here's my view on that, very simply. To me, I look at government as an extension of the people. And what that basically means is that if you have a household and you have kids and you work and you make a certain amount of money and you have a certain amount of money left over at the end of the month, that's pretty much all you got, isn't it? I mean, you got to kind of make that work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to go into credit card debt, we won't even go into that. But why in God's green earth are we letting the government do something that we're not allowed to do ourselves? I mean, how? It's almost like we look at government like we've gotten to the point where government has gotten so big, and we've been kind of incrementally sort of the whole frog in the pot syndrome. So now we're waking up. We've got government so big, and we're just kind of accustomed to, well, that's just kind of the way they do things. To answer your question, a balanced budget would be awesome. And by Wayne Hoffman, actually, I think that thing passed, right, about putting the state's budget online?
Yes, I believe it did.
And the other thing about that, though, is, you know, to me, yeah, having it online is great. But are there going to be people that are going to be, do we have people that are going to be monitoring that and to be able to, you know, are there going to be people in the position to be able to say, okay, you know, I mean, we're watching, you guys have watched the news and seen the debt clock. Just keep going. I think each individual is getting up to almost 42,000 each now. But every day we continue to watch it. Well, the debt's online. I mean, it's on TV. It's right there for everybody to watch, and it's going. But nobody's stopping it. So, although we have that thing available, or we'll have that thing available online, that's great. But are we going to be able to have something in place that's going to be able to say, no? And so I don't know if private entities need to get involved. I don't know what. All I know is that, you know, somebody has to be able to look at that thing in a month and to be able to say, you know, you guys are going to overspend here, or you guys have done this, or something. I mean, how do you control people that don't have any, that are just about fulfilling some kind of agenda for some special interest group that they got money for being endorsed to be a candidate?
Because you look at our federal government and the amount of interest they keep incurring before long. What is it, 20% of the budget now goes for interest? Wouldn't they like to have that 20% to be able to use? And eventually you have nothing left but to pay interest.
Well, the problem is we're going to be forced. We have the ability right now. I mean, I know things are looking pretty dismal and all that kind of stuff when we look at the economy, but we're still in a position right now where we can choose to cut things. But if we continue not to choose to cut things, we're going to end up being forced to cut things in a way that are going to be a little less pleasant than they are right now. You know, where the people are we're just going to get to the point. I remember a couple of years ago, you know, people started talking about tolerance. You got to be tolerant. You got to be celebrate diversity, and we have to do all this thing where we're going to celebrate different people's ideologies, and you know, we just love the immigrants. We're going to let them come in, and now all of a sudden we're seeing all this influx coming in, and we're starting to see all the problems. And now we're going, wait a minute, we can't do this anymore. And now we've got National Guard down there on the southern border of Arizona. So we've had all this time to be able to address this problem down south, and our failure to be able to do it has gotten to the point where it's become an emergency. So we have to address the things right now, but we're going to get to the point where we're going to end up with our economy like an Arizona thing with national security trying to protect wherever they're at.